Hey there. If you're a leader in long-term care, you know that finding new, compliant revenue streams is, well, it's always top of mind, right? So today, we're going to zero in on a huge opportunity, remote patient monitoring. You might have heard it called RPM. We're going to break down exactly how it works, and maybe more importantly, how your facility can actually get paid from.
So here's the million-dollar question, right? How can your facility actually earn money from remote patient monitoring? You hear all the buzz, you see the potential, but how do you get a piece of that pie? Well, the answer? It's probably not what you're thinking, but stick with me because understanding the real model is the absolute key to unlocking this whole thing.
Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and tackle the biggest myth right away. A lot of people think your facility just bills Medicare directly for RPM services. Nope, that's the myth. The reality is, it's an indirect model. The doctor bills Medicare, and then they pay your facility a fee. This one little shift in thinking is fundamental. It's everything. Get this, and the rest all clicks into place.
All right, first up, the RPM revenue myth. Let's dig into why you don't bill Medicare directly. I know it might feel a little counterintuitive, but it all comes down to some very specific Medicare rules about who can actually submit that bill. So, who made the list?
So Medicare is super clear on this. The only folks who can bill for RPM are physicians, MDs and DOs, nurse practitioners, and physician assistants. That's pretty much the list. Now, you'll see a special case for FQHCs and RHCs, but for your standard skilled nursing or assisted living facility, you can't bill directly. But here's the key takeaway, and it's a big one. Your job isn't to be the billing entity. Your job is to be the indispensable operational partner for the doctor who can.
Okay, myth busted. Now let's get to the good stuff. How you actually get paid. This is all about understanding that vendor-practitioner relationship. It all boils down to a very specific and very important financial agreement between your facility and the doctor.
All right, write this down, circle it, highlight it. The most important term you need to know is Fair Market Value Fee, or FMV. This is a contracted fixed fee that the doctor pays your facility for the work you're doing. And here's the absolutely critical part. It's based on your costs, your staff time, your tech, not a percentage of what Medicare pays the doctor. That's not just a small detail. That's the secret to staying compliant.
So, let's follow the money, shall we? It's actually pretty simple. Step 1, the doctor bills Medicare using the right RPM codes. Step 2, Medicare pays the doctor. We're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $110 to $150 per patient per month. And then, step 3, the doctor turns around and pays your facility that pre-agreed fixed FMV fee we just talked about. See, it's a clean, predictable, and compliant flow. So, that leads us to the next big question. How do you calculate your fee? How do you turn your costs into a compliant per patient per month price? Let's break it down. It's actually way more straightforward than it sounds.
Okay, step 1. You've got to calculate your staff costs, and you want to be really honest here. So think about the minutes per month it takes for different team members. In this example, we've got maybe 10 minutes for an MA, 15 for an LPN, and 5 for an RN. You take their loaded hourly rate, and by loaded, I mean wages plus benefits, and do the math. You can see here it adds up to about $21 in people costs per resident.
All right. Step 2, you add in your technology and admin costs. This is the stuff that makes the whole program run, right? We're talking about the software platform, leasing the devices, and just general administrative overhead. In our little example here, that adds another $17 to the pile. And voila! You add your $21 in staff costs to your $17 in tech costs, and you land on your final number, about $38. That is your justifiable fair market value fee per patient per month. This is the number that goes in the contract. And because it's built from the ground up, based on your real costs, it's defensible and compliant. Okay, so now we get to the really fun part, the path to profitability. You've calculated your fee, that's your price. The game now is all about maximizing your revenue. How can you pull the right levers to make this program as efficient and profitable as possible?
This one is huge. I mean, just look at the difference. You have to use the right staff for the right task. You can't have your $62 an hour RN doing work that your $32 an hour MA can handle perfectly well. To be profitable, you absolutely must delegate routine stuff like taking readings or making simple check-in calls. Reserve that expensive RN time for true clinical oversight. This isn't about cutting corners, it's about being smart, and it's a massive driver of your profit margin.
And here are a few more quick hitters to boost that bottom line. First, scale. The more residents you enroll, the better your economics. Second, standardize your workflows. If you know you're doing 2 structured touches a month, it makes your staff time way more predictable. Third, automate everything you possibly can. Alerts, timers, reporting. Let the tech do the heavy lifting. And hey, you can even get creative and offer different service tiers, maybe a light touch versus a high touch, each with its own FMV, of course.
All right, let's talk about staying safe and compliant. Because look, none of this matters if you're not playing by the rules. But I want you to think of these not as a burden, but as the guardrails. They're what protects your program and keep it on the road to success.
So for the doctor to even be able to bill Medicare, your facility has to deliver on 3 key things every single month. Number 1, you need at least 16 days of data from the device. That's 16 separate days of readings. Number 2, you have to track and document at least 20 minutes of staff time spent on that patient. And number 3, within that 20 minutes, you need to have at least 1 live, real-time interaction, like a phone or video call. When you get this right, the doctor can bill successfully. Your success is their success.
And finally, let's talk about the big don'ts. These are the critical compliance mistakes you have to avoid. I'm going to say it again, because it's that important. No revenue splits, no percentage of collections. Your fee has to be that fixed FMV amount, period. Also, don't try to bill for RPM on your own, unless you're one of those special FQHCs. And a little pro tip, taking 5 readings in 1 day does not count as 5 device days. It's still just 1. You gotta hit that 16-day mark.
So really, the whole thing just boils down to this. This is the bottom line. You win by maximizing the number of residents in the program, minimizing the number of minutes you spend per resident, and of course, staying strictly compliant. That's the formula. That's the entire game right there.
So now you know the model. The only real question left is, how are you going to tune your facility's FMV? We've walked through the whole playbook, the model, the math, the guardrails. Now it's your turn to take this and build a profitable, compliant RPM program that works for you. Thanks for tuning in.